Among all the parables told by Jesus, there is one that has crossed the centuries as one of the most powerful and moving, the parable of the prodigal son. Many have heard it briefly, perhaps in sermons or quick readings, but few dwell on each detail it hides. Because this parable is not only the story of a rebellious young man who abandons his home and then returns repentant. It is, in fact, the representation of humanity's own journey, and also of your personal journey. In this reflection, we will dive deep. We will tell this story as if it were a movie before your eyes. Then, we will explore its hidden meanings, its spiritual symbolism, and finally bring all this to practical life, showing how this parable remains alive, relevant, and transformative for all of us, even after 2,000 years. Prepare yourself, because this is not just a biblical narrative. It is a calling, an invitation to look within yourself and ask, in which of the characters of this story do you see yourself today? Luke 15 verses 11 to 32. A wealthy man lived with his 2 sons. His house was large, his lands fruitful, and the respect of the community rested upon him. The older son, hardworking and responsible, helped his father every day in the family business. The younger one, however, had a restlessness within. He looked to the horizon and longed to know the world beyond the borders of his land. One day, this younger son approached his father with unexpected boldness. "Father, give me my share of the inheritance." That request sounded almost like an affront. After all, inheritance is only received after the father's death. To ask in advance was like wishing the father no longer existed. But, to everyone's surprise, the father did not argue, did not fight, did not shout. He simply divided his wealth and gave the son his portion. Days later, the young man gathered everything he had and left. His soul yearned for freedom. He traveled dusty roads, imagining banquets, parties, and pleasures. And so he did. In distant lands, he squandered his fortune on passing friends, drinks, parties, and luxuries that lasted only as long as the money did. But the gold was gone. The supposed friends too. And, as if destiny punished him, a terrible famine fell upon that region. The young man, without resources, began to be in need. He sought work, but the only one he found was feeding pigs, something impure and humiliating for a Jew. He, who once had riches, now longed to eat the food given to the pigs, but not even that was allowed to him. It was in that abyss that his conscience awoke. Sitting in the mud, weak and ashamed, he thought. In my father's house even the servants have bread to spare, and here I am, dying of hunger. I will rise, go to my father and say, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your servants." And so he did. He rose and began the long journey back. Each step carried repentance and fear of rejection, of shame, of his older brother's judgment, and even of the possibility that his father would not accept him back. But while he was still far off, the father saw him. And something extraordinary happened. The father ran toward him. He did not wait for explanations. He did not demand justifications. He simply embraced him, kissed him, and received him with tears in his eyes. The trembling son tried to speak the words he had rehearsed. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy." But the father interrupted him and ordered the servants, "Quickly! Bring the best robe and put it on him. Place a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet. Kill the fattened calf. Let us celebrate, for this son of mine was dead and has come back to life. He was lost and is found." While music and dancing filled the house, the older son, who was working in the field, heard the noise. Indignant, he asked the reason for the celebration and, upon finding out, refused to enter. The father, patient, went out to talk with him. "Son, all that I have is yours. But we had to celebrate, because your brother was lost and is found." Thus the parable ends. Spiritual analysis. This parable is a summary of the gospel. Each character carries a profound meaning. The Father. The Father represents God. A God who does not act as we would expect. Instead of becoming angry at the offensive request, he respects freedom. He allows the Son to follow his path, even knowing he will fall into ruin. This is the mystery of free will. God's love is so great that it does not force us to stay, but so intense that it never ceases to wait for our return. When the Son returns, the Father not only receives him, he runs to meet him. This is one of the most beautiful images in the Bible, a God who runs. A God who does not stand still with arms crossed, but who throws himself toward the repentant sinner. The Prodigal Son. The Prodigal Son symbolizes humanity. Us. Those who, at some point, strayed from the Creator seeking pleasures, autonomy, or illusions of freedom. This part of the parable speaks of the experience of emptiness. We may try to fill the soul with wealth, parties, or people, but at some point, spiritual hunger will reach us. Repentance is born when we realize that outside the Father's house there is no true food. At that moment, we remember him. The older brother. Little spoken of, but equally important, the older brother represents religious pride. He was physically close to the Father but emotionally distant. He did not understand grace, for he lived in the logic of merit and reward. How many today are like him? Attending temples, knowing verses, but not understanding divine love. The parable shows us that both the rebellious son and the religious son need transformation. Application to modern life. This parable is not just an ancient story. It is the portrait of our own lives. Perhaps you identify with the prodigal son, someone who got lost in wrong choices, addictions, toxic relationships, greed, or simply in the busyness of the world. Perhaps you see yourself as the older brother, trapped in religiosity, judging others, but unable to feel joy when someone is restored. Or perhaps you long to have the heart of the Father, a heart that forgives, that welcomes, that holds no grudge. We live in a society that values results, status, and appearance. Many believe they will only have value when they prove something to the world. But this parable teaches us that the Father's love is not conditional. He loves us before, during, and after our mistakes. To apply this parable to practical life means recognizing our straying and returning to God with humility. Learning to truly forgive, without demanding justifications, as the Father did. Celebrating the restoration of others, instead of envying or criticizing. Accepting that our identity is not in what we do, but in who we are, beloved children. The prodigal son is not just a parable, it is a mirror. All of us, at some point, have been the son who left. We have distanced ourselves from the Father's presence, seeking meaning in places that could not offer life. But the good news is that God still waits for us. He looks to the horizon and runs to meet us the moment we take the first step back. And now, the question remains for you to reflect on. In which character of this story do you see yourself today? Are you the son who needs to return? The older brother who needs to learn to love? Or is God calling you to be like the Father, welcoming, forgiving, and celebrating life? this parable does not end with a feast only in the past. It can begin again today, within you. If this message spoke to your heart, help it reach more people. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this parable today, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next reflections. And leave in the comments, which character did you most identify with? Your participation strengthens this community and motivates us to continue bringing content that builds faith and enlightens life. See you in the next video, with more wisdom and mystery of the Word.